You're not family, you know. Why would there be a seat for you? The first thing I heard when I arrived at Marie's wedding was this comment from my mother-in-law. If someone like you, a jinx, comes, it'll ruin my special day. Leave right now. Marie chimed in with mother-in-law's words, berating me. She wore a high-quality wedding dress that didn't suit her twisted, ugly face. If I had known this would happen, I regretted accepting Marie's request that day. I'm Holly, 35 years old. I had been spending my days getting called by my neighborhood mother-in-law almost daily. She would dump all the housework and tedious chores on me, then complain about my work. It was clear she was doing this just to harass me. Moreover, Marie, who lives with mother-in-law, is also a troublesome child. She's over 10 years younger than my husband Ned and me. When we got married, Marie was still in elementary school. Back then, her father left for heaven, leaving Marie behind. So, mother-in-law and Ned spoiled her, saying, "Poor Marie lost her beloved father." As a result, she grew up to be extremely selfish. When Marie was a child, I was the only one who scolded and advised her, thinking it was not good for her education to always do as she said. But every time, Marie would fake cry, saying, "Sister-in-law's bullying me." Then, mother-in-law and Ned would take it seriously and blame me unilaterally, saying, "How could you do such a terrible thing to a child?" After repeating such things, I gave up disciplining Marie. Moreover, my husband never cautioned mother-in-law or Marie, no matter how badly they spoke about me. On the contrary, if I showed a little weakness or complained, he would make me the villain. "Mom is teaching you a lot, Holly. You're thinking too negatively. You can't become a real family like that." Before getting married, mother-in-law was a much kinder person when we met for greetings, and so was Ned. I never dreamed that my married life would turn out like this. But everything changed when the timing of father-in-law's death coincided with my marriage to Ned. "It's your fault this misfortune happened because you married Ned. You jinx!" Mother-in-law's voice, screaming while grabbing my hair, still lingers in my ears. Of course, the timing of father-in-law's death coinciding was a coincidence, and mother-in-law's words were entirely unreasonable. However, I felt sorry for mother-in-law, who seemed to need to attack me so much, and I had no choice but to endure the harassment. But because I was patient, I got used to this situation before mother-in-law could sort out her feelings. Being called a jinx by mother-in-law became the norm, and the harassment continued. And time passed, and one day, when 22-year-old Marie's marriage was decided, mother-in-law unusually approached me in a good mood. "Your aunt runs a rental dress shop, right? I heard she deals with high-end dresses. Bring me her catalog." Why would you ask for that? I couldn't help but ask, as I had never mentioned my aunt before. "Ned told me. Marie is getting married, so you should have told us you have such connections. You're really not considerate." Mother-in-law was back to her usual sarcastic self, but showing her the catalog seems like a good idea. The dresses at my aunt's shop are all wonderful, curated under the idea of the best attire for everyone on their special day. Wearing such a dress would surely make Marie a happy bride. When I hurriedly brought the catalog to my in-laws, Marie took it, looked through it eagerly, but didn't thank me. This is lovely. Sister-in-law, borrow this dress for me. You know the owner, so it should be free, right?" "What? This is the most expensive item in the catalog. It's designed by a famous designer and uses high-quality silk. Renting it normally costs $6,000. But I don't have much money. If I rent normally, I can only afford a cheap one for $1,000. My aunt's shop has good dresses even in the lower price range. Choose something within your budget. What? You're being mean again. Both mother-in-law and Ned sided with Marie, who was pouting. Don't be stingy. Why do you think we're using your aunt's shop? Obviously, to get it for free.
If we can save money on the dress, that's even better.
It seems from the start, all they had in mind was to get a high-end wedding dress without spending money. I felt like they were trampling on both my aunt's shop and my goodwill. No matter how much I refused, they wouldn't listen to me. So I had no choice but to consult my aunt, who has always been fond of me. When I explained the situation, she smiled without showing any displeasure. I'll gladly make it free for your sake, Holly, but the contract will be with the bride herself, so bring her soon. Also, you'll need a dress if you're attending the wedding, right? I'll lend you one too. What? I can't accept such generosity, especially for such high-end items. Don't worry. When you got married, my business wasn't doing well, and I've always regretted not being able to give you a proper gift. Consider this making up for that time. I really want you to wear it. Plus, if lending the wedding dress makes you look good, then there's no problem. I was touched by my aunt's kindness and decided to graciously accept her offer. Thanks to that, I started looking forward to attending the wedding. However, on the day of the wedding, I wore the dress my aunt had lent me and headed to the venue with Ned. For some reason, I was the only one stopped by mother-in-law at the reception. Ned, so glad you can make it. But why is Holly here? What? Strange, isn't it? We didn't prepare a seat for a jinx like you. Even on this joyous day, mother-in-law seemed more focused on her disdain for me than celebrating Marie. If I had an invitation, it would have been clear whether I was invited or not. But they had said, "Your family, so no need for an invitation." Wouldn't it be strange if I, as the sister-in-law, didn't attend? Well, you see, a daughter-in-law isn't family. Look at this. Mother-in-law smugly showed me the seating chart, and indeed, my name wasn't there. Unconvinced, I headed to the dressing room to confirm with Marie. Marie, sorry to bother you before the ceremony. Mother-in-law says there's no seat for me. That's a mistake, right? Are you kidding, sister-in-law? You thought you were invited? How audacious can you be? I was stunned. I hadn't expected that they'd actually not invite me, especially after demanding a free dress. Shocked and speechless, I returned to the reception, only to find mother-in-law and Ned had already gone inside. I had no choice but to go home alone. 2 days later, I visited my aunt's shop to return the dress. So, how was the wedding? She asked, her eyes shining. I bet you looked stunning in that dress, and the bride must have been beautiful too. Did you have fun? Tears filled my eyes at her kind words. I feel a mix of emotions, including frustration and feeling sorry for my aunt. Actually, I wasn't at the ceremony. They said I'm not family, so there was no seat for me. What? My aunt was shocked and speechless and looked at me as I wiped the tears from the corner of my eyes. My aunt hugged me tightly after whispering, "That must have been hard." The warmth of my aunt's arms made me cry even more. I didn't lend you that dress for you to be treated like this. What kind of people are they? Do I need to continue a marriage that upsets the people who care for me? This sudden thought changed my mind. I made a decision and proposed something to my aunt. The next day, upon hearing Marie was at my in-laws, I went to see her. Did you return the dress? It was so cute. Everyone said I looked beautiful. The ceremony was amazing. Too bad you couldn't attend. Marie, my sister-in-law who lives with my mother-in-law, is a real piece of work. Marie, I got this from my aunt. I'm passing it on to you. What's this? Wait, an invoice? For $6,000? What's going on here? That's right. My proposal to my aunt was to bill Marie for the cost of a dress. As expected, Marie crumpled the invoice and threw it at me, yelling loudly. You said it was free. This is a scam. If you're terrible, then your aunt is just as bad. Marie, did you forget? The dress rental was $6,000 from the start. We did agree not to charge you, but do you remember the terms? Marie looked dumbfounded. She was so excited about getting the dress for free that she didn't read the fine print. The agreement said to let Holly enjoy without worry. We won't charge for the dress. But you broke the terms by not even inviting me. So who's scamming who? What's wrong with sending an invoice? In fact, when Marie went to the shop to sign the contract, my aunt explicitly stated it was for Holly and wrote it in the agreement. That's why I never even dreamed I wouldn't be invited. My mother-in-law, who had been watching, glared at me. It was supposed to be free. You should pay for it. No way. Why would I? Standing up to my mother-in-law, Aunt Marie takes courage. But I thought of my aunt, who had been angry on my behalf, and firmly said no. I felt incredibly relieved and left their house after saying, please make sure to pay. A few days later, I checked with my aunt, and it turned out they had completely ignored the invoice. If they broke the promise, we can take legal action. But they might blame you, Holly, not me, my aunt said. I don't care what people who disregard me think. I've always known that my aunt is far more important. If my aunt can't be assertive for my sake, then I'll take action. First, I warned them, if you don't pay, we'll take you to court. But as I feared, neither Marie nor my mother-in-law took me seriously. No matter how many times I demanded payment, it was futile. But my aunt, who had been watching all this, decided to take them to civil court. It seems that while they thought they could push me around, they weren't so tough when faced with legal authority. Marie called me in a panic after receiving the court notice. What's this about a lawsuit? Suing your own family is insane. If you don't pay what you owe, it's possible to enforce payment through civil court. This is a legitimate process. Besides, I'm getting a divorce soon, so you're not my family anymore. I explained in a deliberately formal tone, but I could hear yelling on the other end of the line, so they clearly weren't convinced. Ignoring that, I hung up. Ned, who had been listening nearby, looked at me astonished. He never thought I'd be considering divorce.
What do you mean, divorce?
Exactly what you heard. Let's become strangers soon, I told him.
I love you. Who's going to do the housework if you're not here? Please don't say things like that.
Nothing he said moved me anymore. I was prepared to go to court to cut ties with people who were using and oppressing me. Realizing my resolve was unshakable, Ned reluctantly signed the divorce papers. I filed them and moved out immediately without telling him my new address. In all this chaos, Marie completely lost her husband's trust. She ended up getting divorced and moving back to her parents' home. Now the three of them live together, but since they had always dumped everything on me, none of them are good at housework. Their home is a mess, filled with dirty dishes and laundry. On top of that, they had to take on debt to pay for the dress. Turns out neither my mother-in-law nor Marie had any savings, especially after spending a fortune on the wedding. They had no way to prepare for the cost of the dress they thought was free. To avoid going to court, they hastily took out high interest, sketchy payday loans. Now they're working around the clock to pay off their debt. As for me, I'm enjoying a relaxed life, far away from them. My aunt told me her shop is doing well, and she even plans to open a second location. She wants me to manage it, and I'm looking forward to it.